Welcome back. In the aftermath of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, there certainly has been a lot of dialogue about what new legislation, if there even should be new legislation to try and produce more gun safety in this country. But really, how likely is it that such measures are actually going to get passed? Well, it could come down to a simple thing called math. Most senators have probably already made up their minds. But according to the Sunlight Foundation, 40 Republican senators get either an A or an A+ rating from the NRA. Meanwhile, 34 Democratic senators get an F. Now that leaves 26 senators in the middle who occupy that ground. Now, the gun control swing voters, 9 Democrats, 2 independents, and 5 Republicans, 9 of them have not received any pro-gun money in the last 6 years. None of them received any money from gun control groups. Now, what does this all mean for the likelihood of passage of gun legislation? And I ask this in a broader question, which is, do you think at the end of the day, more lawmakers will make their decisions, those that are in the middle on this, because of a calculation in their head saying, I don't have a primary next time around? Or is it because, you know, they just have deep-seated personal convictions on this thing one way or the other? Even if they know down deep they're not going to come get my guns, they say no.
People west of the Mississippi believe and view guns differently than people east of it. People in urban areas view it differently. So it depends where that legislator is from. But the bottom line is the most logical thing to do may be the easiest and the most beneficial, and that is a gun check. The assault weapon ban really didn't do anything, and that'll be ironically more controversial. But knowing, you know, people have...
And for those who don't remember, the congressman was one of the authors of the original assault weapons ban.
And, you know, it didn't do much. But knowing who's buying these weapons and knowing who's buying 200 of them, that'd be helpful.
Right. You always make the point, because you've worked in markets across this country, including in Texas and Montana. This is a geography issue, right?
A lot of it is. I mean, a lot of it's considered, there are generational hand-me-downs. The father buys his first rifle for his son and teaches him how to shoot. It's it's a family legacy in a lot of places. It's considered a tradition, a part of the culture. So there is a different view based on geography. Now, having said that, you go to Texas or Montana, you'll still find people who are avid gun control advocates as well. It's not a completely universal opinion just because you happen to live in that place. But yeah, I mean, the congressman's right. It's much differently viewed.
You got an idea, Dominic, what this deal is going to shape up to be? They always say if you've managed to anger both sides, you've probably reached a pretty good deal here. It seems that no matter what the NRA says, if 3/4 of their members want background checks, and this idea of a database is probably something that might be tougher to pass, but probably could get passed, they may not get the clip, you know, size restriction that they want, or the assault weapons ban, as the congressman said, but they can probably get the first 2. You think in the end that's probably what this deal looks like?
The problem is I'm looking at this from the perspective of the families in Newtown, Connecticut, your backyard. And anything that does not include an assault weapons ban, and it's not going to happen, I'll give you that. These people are going to be greatly offended. The things you just mentioned, how is that going to please the folks in gun control folks? I mean, it's tinkering along the edges, but what is it really doing?
But Dominic,
and the president is going to face the most heat.
But Dominic, I think the view really might have to be from the congressman's old backyard, that being the House of Representatives, where I don't think a lot beyond background checks is going to get through, and background checks is dicey as well.
Well, the reason why I didn't focus on them, because God knows what they're going to do.
Sure.
You started out, I mean, that's a wild card. Who knows what you started out mentioning.
I disagree with you, Dominic, one thing. If the president played it small when he made his proposal and said, all right, I'm only going to pitch what I think I can pass, he said, I'm shooting for the moon here. I'm going for this all in space.
He had to.
If it doesn't pass, I don't know how he takes the political heat for it, since he at least tried.
You know, just tell the truth.
Right.
The assault weapon ban is a semi-automatic that looks ugly. So you get rid of the ugly semi-automatics and you still have the semi-automatics.
Right.
So if you can educate people that the assault weapon ban is really not going to make a difference, but might make people feel good, maybe they'll understand that the background check is probably more significant. The gun show sales are probably more significant. That's meaningful stuff.
But you know, this is the frustrating part about this, is that, let's just go back a year or two, 32,000 gun deaths in the country. 19,000 plus were suicides. How many additional of those, the remaining 10 or 11 or 12, are illegal handguns caused by kids in our inner cities? A lot of them, okay? The vast majority of these gun deaths are not caused by NRA members who have semi-assault weapons or rifles or whatever the case is. And they're the ones feeling like they're under assault. I mean, what we need to do is
we let the kids keep the guns in the inner cities?
No, what we need to do is, but you're not going to get them on a background check. I'm all for the background checks. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for anyone buying a gun. But let's prosecute fully and make these individuals recognize if you get caught with an illegal handgun, you are going to jail. Not for 2 years, not for 3 years, for a serious amount of time. Because otherwise, the guy in Montana who has a rifle and belongs to the NRA, he ain't killing anybody.
What? Nobody's talking about the guy in Montana. Nobody's proposing to do anything to the guy in Montana.
But Rich,
he can order whatever he wants. Like he's got to get a license for his car.
So tell me what has been proposed that's going to solve the real problem in this country.
Here's the problem, Tom. Everything you say is right. But the part, and I'll speak for myself, that I always get nuts about is when on this particular issue people say it's so big, it's so hard, if we do that, we're tinkering on the edges. Why bother? You got to start somewhere.
Mental health.
Maybe he's right. Maybe as much
he was
as
an
I hate
author
to
of the
admit
legislation.
I know this. As much as I hate to
he
admit
knows
it,
more about
and the
than
idea
anybody.
That the AR-15 could still be in circulation is such an anathema.
Why? What does the AR-15 do to you on a daily basis?
It killed 26-year-olds.
Oh, really?
And you know what?
Well, I don't know. Is that true or not? Was the AR? Well, then why is the AR? I've seen reports where the AR-15 was actually in the guy's trunk. I still am confused about this in Newtown.
They've now said that, and each shot was shot multiple times.
But I got to jump in because it doesn't solve the problem. I disagree entirely. I mean, you're looking to stop Newtowns, but the suicides that you so easily dismissed, fewer guns means it's probably going to reduce that number, and I still care about those people as well.
But fewer guns.
You're just talking about. You're just talking about the headline-inducing crime spree. If we have a gun epidemic in this problem and a gun violence epidemic in this problem, you do everything to try to stop it.
100 million plus guns in this country. You are not going to ban them, and quite frankly, the 19,000 of the 32,000 gun deaths, one way, shape, or form, they're either going to shoot themselves in the head or they're going to kill themselves in a garage
somewhere. The vast majority of those guns are in the hands of law-abiding people who are never going to do anything horrible with those guns. Fine, those 100 million guns, they're yours. The next 100 million guns are the ones that we should be stopping if we're that concerned about gun violence. If it's the epidemic we claim it is, why not do everything to try to stop it?
But let me ask you a question, though. Do you consider in a country of 300 million plus people, let's take out the suicides, okay? You have 10,000 plus gun deaths in this country a year. That's an epidemic? We have more drunk drivers on the road and running people over.
I saw a number.
I just don't think that's...
More people are killed in Newark, and just in Newark, by guns, than are killed in the DR, in the Dominican Republic, as an entire country, okay?
Do you want to live in the DR, though?
I was there.
That's part of who we are.
Here's my point that I make.
That's our freedom.
I hate this part because I sound like some bleeding heart, and you know I'm not. But when every police chief of note says, my guys are getting outgunned on the streets here, I listen to those guys. And when you make the suicide point, and this is a related issue, it's going to sound like it isn't, I've had a fight on this program for more than 10 years with the folks that run the Tappan Zee Bridge. Mm-hmm. The amount of suicides on that bridge, and their original argument was...
How many?
There was 30 in the course of a little over a 12-month period.
A friend of mine
and their point was, well, what can you do? And I said, what do you mean, what can you do? Well, if you put up fencing, it's going to obscure the eye line. And if people want to kill themselves, they're still going to kill themselves. Well, and I know I'm late here, but we pushed, this channel did, to put call boxes on other spans and other bridges in the area. And suicides went down, not just marginally, appreciably. Yeah. To me, you can't just throw your hands up on this issue, and I'm not proposing to have the right answer and just say, it's too big, what can you do? There's already 100 million guns in circulation. We're better than that. I mean, for crying out loud, every day I'm covering a story, another one today about gun in a school. So, it can't just be it's too big.
So let's have an intelligent conversation about all the different factors and try to deal with it. And let's just be honest with each other. And
Mental health and background checks. I'm fine with that. I think that would be a good start.
Well, you know,
How about a database?
I'm fine with that.
I will say this: banning assault weapons does no harm. It just doesn't do any good.
That's Joe Biden said that last week.
Okay, so Congressman, if it doesn't do any good to ban them, so then why fight it? Why not just give it to the other side?
But,
if it does no good,
but you know what? I mean, if it does no harm.
it does no harm. So
Yeah.
why not just concede
Well, you know,
that then?
I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep about it. I'm just not going to be an advocate for it.
Yeah.
But why not?
But you know, I
Because
do think
it won't make a difference.
You'll know this better than me. I know I'm heavy, Elise. A background check, as long as all 50 states are participatory in it, and as long as there's a database that it's stored in, will make a difference,
Yeah,
right?
and so at least do that.
Yeah.
And let's move on.
On
We
that
all
note,
agree.
We take a break here. I can't get past. We all get along, and that's all right. But when we come back, I'm going to ask our guests about what Karl Rove is doing, because either it's brilliant here, or he's going to have a tough time getting clients. We're going to explain why right after this.